In 2019, Game of Thrones ended with a thud so loud it echoed across the internet. A show once hailed as the greatest fantasy drama ever was now a meme. But why? How did something so brilliant fall so fast? Here's why Season 8 broke Game of Thrones and its legacy. Let's start with the obvious. It was rushed. While earlier seasons had 10 episodes to slowly build tension and develop characters, Season 8 had just 6 episodes to wrap up everything. Not just plot lines, entire mythologies. The Night King? Gone in 1 episode. Daenerys' heel turn to Mad Queen? 1.5 episodes. It felt like skipping 200 pages of a book and jumping to the last chapter. The show's strength was always its characters, messy, complex, evolving. But in Season 8, logic took a backseat to shock. Daenerys, the breaker of chains, suddenly becomes a mass murderer, with almost no emotional build-up. Jaime, who had spent seasons redeeming himself, runs back to Cersei without reason. Bran becomes king, even though he literally said, "I don't want anything anymore." These aren't plot twists, they're betrayals of character development. Game of Thrones was never about good versus evil. It was about power, politics, legacy, and human nature. But Season 8 reduced it to fantasy cliches. Fire versus ice, queen versus queen, good versus mad. The nuance? Gone. Prophecies like Azor Ahai, the Lord of Light, or the Three-Eyed Raven just dropped, as if the showrunners hit skip on their own homework. Here's the kicker. HBO was willing to give them more seasons, more episodes, more time. But the showrunners, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, reportedly wanted to move on. Some say to work on Star Wars. And that choice meant cutting corners, cramming plot lines, and leaving the fans behind. It wasn't a budget issue. It was a priority issue. In the end, Season 8 didn't just end a show. It ended an era of appointment television, of fan theories, of pop culture obsession. Game of Thrones had the throne, but it burned it down with dragon fire and no real reason. And for many fans, that was the true tragedy.